Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget tier list for January 2024, post Maze of Millenia. Big dog, I have constructed a tier list using some of the most popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategies, plus some of the new strategies from Maze of Millenia to give you an idea what are the best budget Yu-Gi-Oh! decks. Of course, big dog, you already know what it is. I got chat with me. And if you want to support the video and see more tier lists like that, then be sure to appease the algorithm gods, comment and like. Bam! So the criteria for this tier list is going to be very simple. I'm going to be rating how powerful these Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks are, but I'll also be keeping the budget in mind, whether it's a really cheap and powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck or if it can be improved with a little bit more expensive cards. Of course, this is post Maze of Millenia, so I'll be mentioning the new cards and powerful reprints that will help you on your game. Let's go ahead and start off with Dark World.
Welcome to the Dark World. We have cookies.
And now, Colorless, a monster that allows you to destroy your opponent's entire board and can give you a way to discard a Dark World monster on your opponent's turn. I would have to say that Dark Worlds are... it takes a really good pilot. The biggest beef with Dark Worlds is that not only is it a fragile loop at best, or at its strongest to most Yu-Gi-Oh! Players are prepared for this loop. There aren't a lot of people playing the Bystials and Droll and Lockbird in the main deck, but there are so many ways to play around this, and there's also just not winning the dice roll. I think that a good Dark World player is exemplary. They can go far with this deck, and that's why I'm putting it in Takes a Really Good Pilot. Now, Earth Machine can actually be pretty decent into this format. Not only can it play Skill Drain, it also has an FTK, completely winning the game if you're not interrupted with hand traps. I'm gonna put Earth Machine also into Takes a Really Good Pilot. I think that Skill Drain is a game-changing card, and some of the things that Earth Machine does could be amazing. But unfortunately, there's not been a lot of cards to help Earth Machine and push it forward as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Strategy. Hopefully we get some more Earth Machine cards soon though. Bro, if we get more Earth support like we're getting Fire support, watch out. Earth Machine would be crazy. Unchained, my guys. Unchained did lose a really big card on the ban list, which is Shavara. And I think there's been a lot less Unchained players because of it. Everyone at my locals dropped Unchained. Its time has passed. Unchained should be locked up. Ah, I see what you did there. It belongs to the streets? Oh no, chat. I think you guys are actually wrong. I think the sentiment for Unchained is that it is a dead deck, but it is nowhere near a dead deck. And I would go as far as to say it's a top budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Unchained is no longer a brainless deck that is immune to all hand interruptions. I'll give you that. But Unchained still survives as an engine inside of decks like Labyrinth, DDD, basically any Fiend Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. On top of that, it in its pure form is still a really cheap and fairly successful Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck. Unchained is okay, but outclassed without two Shavara. That said, Unchained Lab seems great, but I don't know if it raises the ceiling of Lab by that much. I don't know, guys. I think it may be my very first bold take here. I still think that Unchained is a very efficient budget Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck for its price. I think it's amazing. Chat, you guys want to veto that? You guys, where will you put Unchained? I'm curious. Solid choice, solid choice, solid choice. All right, let me cope then. I'm going to put it in top budget. Now, it is one thing that I want to talk about. Triple Tactics Thrust did get its reprint. I don't think that this will change much in the long run unless we get another reprint. But for right now, I think a lot of players are happy that it does constitute as helping budget players. With that being said, Marine Test does get a lot better with Triple Tactics Thrust in your arsenal. It gives it a way to go second and be able to search its important spell cards. I'm going to put Marine Test in solid choice. I mean, to be honest with you, it was solid choice even without Thrust. This is one of the only decks that can quench the fire strategies that are coming out right now. Its World Dragon Zelantis combo prevents them from summoning back their fire monsters, is an excellent way to get rid of other Yu-Gi-Oh! Boards that aren't water. Also, this deck can play a ton of hand traps as well as play through a ton of hand traps, so it's definitely set up in this format. Marine Test is a solid choice. Surprisingly, a lot of opponents don't read. My guy, nobody reads. Reading in this economy, get them out here, guys. All right, guys, Battling Boxers. We talked about it a little while ago. I still think that Battling Boxers takes a really good pilot. This deck has no good first turn boards, but it can punch its way into the long game. This deck grinds for all 12 rounds. Battling boxes are so weird. Battle phase decks are so big, but damn, they have some really nice effects on some of them. That's what we're saying. The deck, it's go ahead, you crazy, but it's also like, you're a battle phase deck. Plunder Patrol. Chat, I'm gonna leave this one up to you guys. Where are you gonna put Plunder Patrol? It's a deck that works really well when kaijus are important, or you can run it in conjunction with Labyrinth cards or even Runic cards. Solid choice, Borderline. This one's hard. Borderline? Why would you guys put it in Borderline? I'm curious. We need the Wind and Divine shit. Holy. I actually agree with a lot of you guys. I think that Plunder Patrol is a borderline Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's a solid budget strategy that you can mix with cards like Labyrinth and Runic to make sure that you keep funness in there, but it also is sneaky good at being able to play around great attributes. Keep in mind, most fire strategies play spell and trap cards, so Brawn is actually a lot more important than what people are giving it credit. I think Scareclaw also fits in the same category as Plunder Patrol. It's a deck that hasn't done anything statistically, but is still a solid budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm gonna put it in Borderline. Another resemblance of Scareclaw and Plunder Patrol is that they do have different ways to play it. With Scareclaw, there's the Adventure Engine. There's more of a Manadium build. There's so many great ways to play it, and then there's also monsters like Vicious Astrolot, which is completely unfair in the game sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I want to put Ninjas in Takes a Really Good Pilot, but to be honest with you guys, it's closer to Pay the Bills instead. Solid Choice because of Coup? What? Bro, he wants to put Ninjas in Solid Choice? Hey, no way. You guys are not going to start a mutiny if I put Ninjas in anything other than Pay the Bills instead. That would be bias of me. Takes a Really Good Pilot? Ain't no way, chat. Okay, guys, let's be honest. Outside of me, there are not a lot of players that have been very successful with Ninjas. I don't think that Ninjas are necessarily bad, but not only does it take a good pilot, you also cannot make mistakes. It's ridiculously hard to play. What bills you ban with 30? Get me out of here! My dumb self was gonna say the phone bill. I hate it here, chat. Why y'all doing that to me? What bill you paying with 30? Oh, he got Boost Mobile. 30? Might be able to get grocery for 1.5 days in NorCal. Wow, hold on. Time out. Wait. You can get, for $30, you can get, what is it, noodles? OnlyFans bills? Get me out of here. Discord Nitro. I hate it. Altergeist. So Altergeist, I heard, got a top at Hobby Corner, and I heard that it might have been a Utah event or something like that. Chat, help me out here. Altergeist is a deck in Egypt? What do you mean? Hobby Corner is a locals in Egypt. It topped. Ah, yeah. Altergeist did get reprinted inside of Maze of Millenia, making it ridiculously cheap. But I don't think that this deck will take you too far. I'm going to put it in Takes a Really Good Pilot. Hey, unless you're in Egypt, my guy, you doing it, bro. You killing it. Dueling on top of the pyramids with Altergeist, my guy. You kind of toxic for playing Secret Village and Skill Drain, but do you, boo? Well, you see in Egypt, they're built different. Oh, get me out of here. That one was bad. That one was terrible. Thunder Dragon. Yeah, go ahead and pay the bills instead, big dog. I think once Thunder Dragons lost Chaos Space, the deck became just not good. Bro, in the TCG, we don't even have Thunder Dragon Colossus. This deck is definitely down bad. Fire Kings as Fire King Tri-Brigade, I think that this is a top budget deck. Better than Unchained. The reason why is because you can get 3 of the structure decks, then mix it with some Tri-Brigade cards. It's gonna cost you maybe around $50 and be very competitive. Then as you build up, you can get your Sinful Spoils cards somehow, and that will make you an ultra competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player. Easily one of the best budget decks in the game. Get a job at a card shop that has Sinful Spoils, steal 3 and put in your 2 weeks? Bro, get him out of here. We know where his alignment is. I would almost say the exact same thing about Orcus. It can start off as a budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck and get better, but I don't think that it's one of the top decks in the game. For that, I'm going to go ahead and put it in the solid choice. Orcus is still a really good strategy somehow in 2024. And when you mix it with cards like the Bestial monsters, mix it with the Resonators, or even the Horus cards, it does become a lot stronger. Apparently, Orcus got 2 tops. Jess told me that earlier. It actually did. Floowandereeze, I mean, for the amount that you're playing, Floowandereeze is also another top budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It's maybe like 50 bucks for the entire thing. Just don't expect people to like you when you play this deck. Fu players don't play Yu-Gi-Oh to make friends. He's not wrong. I do not see the lie. As you guys already know, we always make a pinned comment asking, what do you guys want to see on the next tier list? This time around, one of the things that you guys wanted me to talk about was Pendulum decks, be it Zark, be it Pendulum Magician, or Endymion. I think all of those decks are pay the bills instead. The biggest problem with Pendulum is that all of the cool combos and stuff that you do, some of the other decks do it better with less cards and aren't easily interrupted. Dinomorphia did technically get transaction rollback. The problem is transaction rollback is a ultra rare and highly sought after. I don't think picking up Dinomorphia to make it a better deck with transaction rollback is the move. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in pay the bills instead. Dinomorphia got a top this year, is their year. Wait, it did? Ain't no way Dinomorphia got a top. If Dinomorphia got a top, I will move it way past beta bills instead. You guys are lying. That's not a top. Where's the top? Bro, that was bro, you know it's 2024, right? Homie said it got a top this year. We're in 2024. There's no YCSs. It's Kobe year. We done with the Jordan year. I love it. One of the biggest things that made Dinomorphia good was floodgates, and a lot of them are hit on the ban list. On top of that, if you're going to play a trap deck for transaction rollback, you're probably off just shelling out the extra bit of money to play Labyrinth. Flame Swordsman just got new support, chat. We talked about it in a video that I'm putting on Cali Clips. What do you guys think about it? Here comes the copium about Dinomorphia. Here comes the copium about Flame Swordsman. Flame Swordsman is going to top a YCS. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love the energy. I personally think that Flame Swordsman has a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh potential. And I really want to put it in... I'm going to make a bold take. I think Flame Swordsman may be one of the better sleeper Yu-Gi-Oh decks that people are not paying attention to. Now, granted, I don't think it'll be better than Floowandereeze, Unchained, or Fire King. But Flame Swordsman Fire King seems like a very viable option, and also Flame Swordsman Infernal Knight seems like a very viable option. We are getting so much more fire support throughout this year. This deck just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and this is one of the most searchable decks in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. I may be tripping when I say Flame Swordsman is top budget, but that's probably because nobody's paying attention to it. It's incredibly cheap right now and can make some waves. Can you play Snake Eyes in Flame Swordsman? You could. Not sure if it's good yet. Am I coping, chat? The ninjas have left the chat. Flame Swordsman is a 3rd ranked deck for a 3rd ranked duelist. Wow, Cali influence in the... Oh, no. Brutal. Flame Hammer and Valkyrian Knight. Okay, chat. All right. Top budget. Maybe too hard, but definitely solid choice. Come on, guys. I'm not coping for this deck. I promise you. It's not Dark Old Dragon. So the crazy thing about Volcanic is that it's heavily dependent on Bonfire. If Bonfire is an incredibly expensive card, then that means obviously Volcanics become a lot more of an expensive deck. But the cool thing about Volcanics is that the entire deck is somewhere in that $20 range. So there's a lot more flexibility for this strategy as opposed to some of the other Pyro decks that use Bonfire. I think one of the better properties about Volcanic is that it is really good at being disruptive and destroying your opponent's board and burning for damage. The good ultras from Maze of Memories are 30. Well, 3 Bonfires versus Volcanic still makes it a budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in Borderline. It's kind of crazy how Volcanic went from a deck that nobody wanted to play. Now that we're getting all the fire support, it's going to be a pretty decent Yu-Gi-Oh deck and an incredible engine that can be used in other fire strategies. Volcanics can cowboy for game on command. You're not wrong. Players wanted me to include Raid Raptors because it is getting support in Phantom Nightmare. Unfortunately, we're not talking about Phantom Nightmare. We're in Maze of Millenia. So definitely pay the bills instead. As of right now, this deck is just not good, but when Phantom Nightmare comes out, I can't wait to revisit it. Sortsel. Sword Soul, for your bang for your buck, it's one of the best budget decks in the history of the game. An entire Sword Soul deck with every card you could ever want for a Sword Soul deck is still $50. Now, as far as power when it comes to this deck, it's decently power crapped. There's not really much that you can add to this deck to make it incredibly stronger, but you know exactly what you're getting with this strategy. It's something that'll be able to stomp anything rogue and below and go toe-to-toe with some of the tier 2 decks. I'd say Sword Soul is borderline. It's still power crap badly in this format. The good thing that Sword Soul has going for it is that it's almost immune to hand traps if you play it correctly, and Nibiru's not in the format. Also, one more thing I want to talk about. Long Yuan, the Sinister Sovereign, is crazy good. Like, if you summon that card, there's like every top deck fears it. There's also another secret tech that's really good. I got to talk to you guys about that later. Trap Tricks, my guy. Technically, it does get transaction rollback. Unfortunately, I would still put it in takes a good pilot. The problem with Trap Tricks is going second, and that's pretty much always been the problem. Until they can fix that, I would not heavily rely on this as my go-to budget deck. Evenly Matched is getting stronger in the game, which I do think helps this deck tremendously, but you can't just play a ton of hand traps and expect that to work against your opponent, because if they just leave the field with a big monster, you struggle as a Trap Tricks player. I think Virtual World is a borderline Yu-Gi-Oh deck. One of the things that hard carry it is that Virtual World QB Shinshin is crazy good, and also this deck is another strategy that is immune to a lot of hand traps. Chat, where would you guys put Rika? Top budget? Top? Holy crap. You guys are going to be surprised where I put Rika. Rika, pay those bills? You can't put it into pay those bills because the going first board can be so strong. Rika is the best deck in the game. It gets support. Well, when Rika gets support, I think we have to reassess that because the Phantom Nightmare support is crazy. But I think there's a core component of Rika that we all need to accept. This takes a good pilot. It always has. You can't just be a glue eater and play Rika and expect to win. That's why its results has been middling at every other level other than some of the bigger players using this deck or players that are dedicated to the strategy. I think personally that Gold Pride Punk is in pay the bills instead. This deck is severely power crept, and it does not help that there is a lot of cards that just completely end this deck's turn. One thing that I do like about Gold Pride Punk is that you can draw into a lot of hand traps, but I think one of the biggest problems for Gold Pride Punk is that it doesn't seem to do enough. Goblin Rider Gold Punk is going to be insane. I think that may change the landscape of the deck. For right now, pay the bills. There's a Punk Pride player at my locals. Never seen him not end on Psychic End Punisher pass. That's it. Yeah, that's not working. Chat, where would you put Sky Striker? Sky Striker takes a really good pilot. Does it really? Pay the bills. Don't bother with Sky Striker. I think he just doesn't want people to play Sky Strikers. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't even blame him, chat. Solid? Best to Elmer's Glue? Sky Strikers outsweep you with ease? I am going to say Sky Striker is one of the best budget decks in the game. We really have to talk about that Triple Tactics Thrust reprint. If players can get a hold of that for a good price, this deck is crazy good. I don't even think you really need to be a smart Yu-Gi-Oh player. All you have to do is know what Engage does. And the fact that people aren't maining cards like Droll and Lockbird, Upstart Goblin does become a lot stronger from now until Phantom Nightmare. This deck is really, really good. Bro, you guys already know I hate Sky Strikers, but I'm gonna say what they are. Fire King Exceed on their turn. GG Sky Strikers. The Fire King Exceed only destroys the monsters. I had high hopes for Sharks, but after testing it extensively, I'm gonna put it in borderline. The biggest problem with Sharks is that if there's a lot of hand traps that can stop Sharks, then it doesn't end on the board. I do like that the Exceed Armor card is coming out, and this is a really fun budget deck to play. But also keep in mind, Goes and Match is now limited. Magic Specters for now, they did get reprints inside of Maze of Memory, but definitely pay the bills instead. The new support may change this in the future. Red Dragon Archfiend, guys. Unfortunately, we didn't get the new Red Dragon Archfiend monster. Red Dragon Archfiend, best deck, baby? We're all coping here. If I'm going to be objective, I think as a competitive budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck, I'm gonna put it in takes a good pilot. Think about it. If you don't have the Horus engine, which by the way is about $180 to get, then this deck becomes a little bit harder to play. There's also other expensive things like the Bystials and stuff like that. If you are playing a budget version of this deck, you need to know exactly what you're doing to be able to win some games. Also, it's not a very complicated deck to play. Takes a good pilot doesn't always mean you need a player with a huge brain to play. Sometimes you need to know how to play into the format. Chat, for Crystal Beast, I am not going to move the thing over. What are we doing here? Definitely a pay the bills instead deck. This ain't it, dog. Crystal Beast will always have that same problem. The Crystal Beast monsters outside of Pegasus and the Crystal Dragon card are not good. This deck's best card is Baguska and Necro Valley. Now, I did move the tier list over because Black Wings don't really fare that better. Black Wings is rough. Wish it were better. Put them all in and pay the bills. I think Black Wings is a little bit better than these decks, but I don't think by much. It's probably right here-esque. Oh, wait. You guys don't see it. It's in pay the bills instead. Bro, that pay the bills instead category is getting pretty long. I don't think that Black Wings are a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck. The unfortunate is that A, the Bystial monsters aren't good. B, the Black Wing cards require way too much setup. And C, there are a ton of hand traps built to stop you right now. Exosister is one of the best budget decks in the game. The only unfortunate thing is that it does not get stronger. It does have a cap, but cards like Dimension Shifter and Abyss Dweller are really easy for this deck to play. Would Black Wings Tri-Brigade have synergy? No. Exosister is a top budget deck. The deck is insane. With Nib barely seeing any play, the deck turns off the grave and can vanish. I agree. Top budget for Exosister, mini graveyard reliant decks. We're all on the same page here. I also think that Generator is a sneaky good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. The runic cards are still relatively cheap, and the Generator deck is built on summoning Interblastener to hand loop, but it also has different variants like Invoke to be able to play a grind game. I can't wait to get TJ on a deck like this. It's actually a lot better than what people are giving it credit. Super Heavy Samurai. Yo, this deck is crazy good. Players are starting to figure out that Super Heavy Samurai doesn't need the Scarecrow. It's actually a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck without it. It can make some pretty good boards and be used as an engine for some of the other strategies in the game. Adamantipator is pay the bills instead, chat. The deck's dead. I played against Adamantipator's at locals a few weeks back, and he did a 5-minute turn and ended up on 2 negates. If Blood Dragon is banned, this deck is down bad. Just put Adam below pay the bills. Crazy. I would also say the same thing for Goaty, guys. This deck does get support in Phantom Nightmare, but unfortunately, we're not in Phantom Nightmare just yet. Can't wait to talk about it when we get the new cards, though. Generators are borderline, not because it's bad, because Lopters are $40 to $60. No way! If Lopters are $40 to $60 for a playset, there's no way. Lopters are $40 to $60 for a playset. I don't think that it's worth it. It's genuinely not worth it. That's crazy. This deck used to be ultra cheap, ultra budget. Now it's getting way more expensive. I would not drop $120 on Generator, especially seeing that you can't use cards like Lobsters for other strategies. It is still strong, the exact same strengths, but when you compare it to its price tag alongside of its competitive viability and the versatility, definitely borderline. It also uses the runic engine, which is spiking. Yeah, definitely. You gotta love Generators to be committed to this. I think Earthbound has so many different variants, it can be a solid choice Yu-Gi-Oh deck. This deck is still really crazy, and now that we have pretty much confirmed that the deck is really cheap, you can not only use it for an engine, you can also use it for its own deck. It's solidly good, and it doesn't seem expensive at all. What makes Salad not fit your tier list? Have you seen the prices of Salad? Earthbound has serious promise. It also gets support in Phantom Nightmare too. Lastly is going to be Rescue Ace, which just got a reprint inside of Maze of Millenia. We did not see that coming. This is, I mean, it's already doing incredibly well still, even with the hit. I'm gonna put it in top budget. I love that this deck is now budget and accessible, and will get stronger if you guys can't afford the Maze of Millenia cards. It's perfect what you want to see for budget, a deck that starts off really cheap, and then as you get more money, gets stronger. And that's all that I have for the budget tier list post Maze of Millenia. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and let me know down below on some strategies that I missed or some other budget tier lists you want to see. As always, you can go ahead and check out some other videos. I'll catch you on the next one.